A dream vacation, a picture-perfect romance, and the breathtaking streets of Barcelona. It was supposed to be a getaway filled with love, laughter, and memories to last a lifetime. But for one young woman, this trip would be her last. One moment, she was sipping sangria under the golden sunset, and the next, she was gone. No goodbyes, no witnesses, just an eerie silence where she once stood. What really happened in that luxurious five-star resort? Was it an accident, a calculated crime, or something far more sinister? And why did her husband's story never seem to add up? Today, we uncover the chilling mystery of a honeymoon that turned into a nightmare. One that left the world searching for answers. Stay with us as we dig deep into the clues, the lies, and the secrets that unraveled a love story with a dark, twisted end. Savannah Brooks, a 28-year-old graphic designer from Seattle, had always been a dreamer. Passionate about art and travel, she had finally found her perfect match in Calloway, a charismatic entrepreneur whose confidence and charm had swept her off her feet. Friends described Savannah as warm, creative, and full of life, while Ethan was seen as ambitious, charming, and deeply in love, or at least, that's what the world believed. Their whirlwind romance led to a grand wedding, followed by an extravagant honeymoon in Barcelona, where their social media posts painted a picture of a fairy tale. The happiest days of my life. Savannah had captioned a photo of them kissing in front of La Sagrada Familia, but beneath the perfect facade, cracks had already begun to form. Close friends had noticed subtle changes, Savannah's texts becoming more infrequent, her vibrant energy dimming ever so slightly. Ethan, once affectionate, had started showing signs of impatience, his temper flaring in moments he thought no one was watching. But no one expected what would come next. Just 5 days into their honeymoon, Savannah vanished without a trace. Ethan claimed she had gone for a morning walk and never returned, but something about his story felt off. The hotel security footage was mysteriously incomplete. Witnesses recalled muffled arguments from their suite the night before, and as investigators dug deeper, they found that Ethan wasn't quite the man he claimed to be. Who was he really? And did Savannah ever truly know the man she had married? The night before Savannah Brooks disappeared, everything seemed normal, at least on the surface. She and Ethan Calloway had spent the day exploring Barcelona's Gothic quarter, stopping at quaint cafes and snapping romantic photos. That evening, they dined at an upscale restaurant overlooking the city, their laughter echoing over the candlelit table. But something was off. The waiter later recalled that Savannah barely touched her food, her eyes darting toward Ethan every time he spoke. Her smile seemed forced, her laughter hollow. And then there was the argument. Around midnight, a couple in the next suite overheard muffled voices, the sharp edge of anger in Ethan's tone. "You're being paranoid, Savannah," he hissed. "You think I don't notice how you look at me?" Savannah's response was softer, almost pleading. "I just want to understand, Ethan. Please." But then silence. The next morning, Ethan told hotel staff that Savannah had gone out for a sunrise walk along the beach and never returned. At first, no one suspected anything unusual. After all, Barcelona was a bustling city, and it wasn't uncommon for tourists to wander off. But then, inconsistencies began to emerge. The security footage from the hotel's entrance showed no sign of Savannah leaving that morning. The cameras covering the back exit, where guests could access a private pathway to the beach, had mysteriously malfunctioned between 4 o'clock and 6 a.m. And then there was Ethan's behavior. Witnesses described him as frantic, yet strangely detached. "She probably just lost track of time," he told police, though his voice lacked conviction. A maid later reported seeing Ethan pacing in the hallway, whispering into his phone with a clenched jaw. "No, it's done. Just stick to the plan," he muttered before abruptly ending the call. As detectives delved into Savannah and Ethan's past, a darker narrative began to unfold. Savannah's best friend, Emily, came forward with chilling revelations. She was scared of him, Emily admitted. "She never said it outright, but I could tell. A week before the wedding, she called me in tears, saying she felt like she was making a mistake. There were whispers of financial troubles, too. Ethan's once thriving business had hit rock bottom, drowning in debt. And then, a bombshell, Savannah had taken out a $1.5 million life insurance policy just weeks before their honeymoon, with Ethan as the sole beneficiary. Suddenly, what had seemed like a tragic disappearance began to look like something far more sinister. At precisely 3:12 a.m. on the night of Savannah's disappearance, a guest in the room below hers awoke to a dull thud, followed by a muffled scream. At first, he assumed it was just another late-night argument. But then came the sound of furniture scraping against the floor, followed by a series of frantic, gasping sobs. Then, silence. It was the kind of silence that made my skin crawl, the guest later told investigators. Like someone had stopped fighting. Savannah's final moments were nothing short of a nightmare. According to forensic evidence later uncovered, she had put up a desperate struggle. There were bruises on her arms and defensive wounds on her hands, as though she had clawed at her attacker, fighting for her life. Blood splatter patterns suggested she had hit her head against the marble nightstand, a fatal blow, whether intentional or not. Ethan's version of events continued to unravel when hotel staff discovered a damp, blood-stained towel stuffed at the bottom of their suite's trash bin. Even more chilling, a concierge recalled seeing Ethan carrying a large, heavy duffel bag toward the hotel's private service exit around 4 a.m., his expression eerily calm. By the time authorities launched a full-scale search, Savannah was gone. Her body wouldn't be discovered for another 10 days. When a fisherman spotted something floating near the port of Barcelona, a pale, lifeless hand breaking the surface of the water. The autopsy revealed the horrifying truth. Savannah had been strangled before her body was weighed down and dumped into the sea. The case had all the markings of a premeditated crime. But the real question remained, was Ethan the mastermind behind his wife's death? Or was there someone else pulling the strings? Detective Adrian Monroe, a seasoned investigator with the Barcelona Police Department, was the first to take charge of Savannah Brooks' case. With years of experience unraveling high-profile crimes, Monroe knew that disappearances like this were rarely random. From the moment he stepped into Savannah and Ethan's hotel suite, something felt off. The room was spotless, too clean, almost staged. The bed was made, toiletries untouched, yet a faint metallic scent lingered in the air. Monroe's instincts told him this wasn't just a case of a missing tourist. This was a crime scene. The first major breakthrough came from the hotel's security footage, or rather, the footage that was missing. Cameras covering the main exit showed no sign of Savannah leaving that morning as Ethan had claimed. But investigators found something else. At 4:27 a.m., Ethan was seen dragging a large duffel bag through the back exit, his shoulders hunched under its weight. What was inside? When questioned, Ethan claimed it contained clothes and souvenirs, but a search of his luggage found none of the items he described. Then came the inconsistencies in Ethan's timeline. He told police he had been asleep when Savannah left for her walk, but phone records painted a different picture. At exactly 3:45 a.m., Ethan's phone had pinged near Barcelona's industrial docks, miles away from the hotel. Why would a man whose wife had just vanished be wandering around the docks in the dead of night? Investigators pressed further, obtaining records from Savannah's phone. Her last outgoing message had been sent at 2:16 a.m., a single text to her best friend Emily that read, "Something's wrong. I'm scared." The next clue came from forensic analysis of the hotel suite. A forensic expert, Dr. Lucia Ferrer, used luminol testing to reveal something sinister. Traces of blood near the nightstand, faint but undeniable. Someone had tried to clean it up, but not well enough. Even more disturbing, strands of Savannah's hair were found tangled in the carpet fibers, suggesting a violent struggle. For days, investigators entertained the possibility of another suspect. Could Savannah have been abducted by a stranger? Had she left voluntarily? But then came the final piece of damning evidence, Ethan's rental car. Police retrieved GPS data, revealing that, at 5:12 a.m. on the night of Savannah's disappearance, the vehicle had stopped near a remote stretch of coastline. It remained there for 23 minutes before Ethan drove back to the hotel. That location would later become the site where Savannah's body was discovered, floating just beneath the surface of the water. Ethan Calloway's carefully constructed alibi was unraveling fast. But the real shock was yet to come. Just when investigators were ready to arrest Ethan for Savannah's murder, a shocking twist emerged, one that turned the entire case on its head. As detectives combed through Ethan's financial records, they discovered something chilling. Ethan was not only drowning in debt, but he had been in contact with a woman named Victoria Hale just days before the honeymoon. Victoria wasn't just anyone. She was Ethan's ex-fiancée, a woman he had abruptly left 6 months before marrying Savannah. Their messages suggested something much darker than a rekindled romance. Ethan, it's all set, just like we talked about. Victoria? Are you sure? No mistakes this time. Ethan, trust me. It'll be done before sunrise. Investigators now had to consider the unthinkable. Was Ethan working with someone else? Was Savannah's death not just a crime of passion but a cold, calculated plan? Victoria was quickly brought in for questioning, and her initial responses were defensive. But when presented with the messages, her composure cracked. I didn't think he'd actually do it, she whispered. He said he needed a fresh start, that she was in the way. The biggest revelation came when detectives traced a wire transfer made 2 days before Savannah's disappearance. A transfer of $50,000 from Ethan's account to Victoria's. Had she been paid to help cover up the crime? To create an alibi? Or worse, had she been a part of the plan all along? As Ethan sat in the interrogation room, his arrogance gave way to frustration. He had once been so careful, so calculated. But the evidence was overwhelming. When confronted with the phone records, the CCTV footage, and Victoria's partial confession, he finally broke. His chilling admission sent shivers down the detective's spines. I told her to stop asking questions, Ethan muttered, staring at his hands. She just wouldn't let it go. The case had begun as a simple disappearance, but it had unraveled into something far more sinister. A web of betrayal, deception, and premeditated murder. But the most haunting part? Savannah had suspected something all along. She had seen the danger coming. She had tried to warn someone. And in the end, the man she trusted with her life had been the one to take it away. On the morning of August 12th, Ethan Calloway was arrested at his Miami penthouse. When officers arrived, he was sipping coffee on his balcony, staring out at the ocean as if nothing had happened. His reaction, cold, calculated. He simply set his cup down and smirked. Took you long enough, he muttered. But beneath his facade of control, cracks were forming. As he was led away in handcuffs, cameras flashed, reporters shouted questions, and the world finally saw the man accused of murdering his wife. The trial that followed became a media sensation. The prosecution painted Ethan as a manipulative sociopath who viewed Savannah as nothing more than an obstacle in his pursuit of financial gain. They presented forensic evidence, CCTV footage, and chilling text messages exchanged between Ethan and Victoria Hale, proving that the murder had been premeditated. The courtroom was silent when Savannah's mother took the stand. Her voice trembled as she spoke. She loved him, she trusted him, and he threw her away like she was nothing. Tears streamed down her face as she clutched a framed picture of her daughter. I just want to know why? Ethan's defense team attempted to cast doubt, suggesting that Victoria had been the true mastermind. But then, a final piece of damning evidence was introduced, an audio recording taken from Savannah's phone. She had secretly recorded their final conversation. In it, her voice was fearful yet determined. Ethan, what are you hiding from me? Savannah, you ask too many questions. I just want the truth. The truth? You wouldn't survive it. The jury deliberated for only 4 hours before delivering their verdict. Guilty of first-degree murder. The judge sentenced Ethan Calloway to life in prison without the possibility of parole. As he was led away, his mask of arrogance finally cracked. He turned to Victoria, seated in the gallery, and whispered something under his breath. No one heard what he said, but the look in her eyes said it all. She was next. This case is a chilling reminder that sometimes, the people closest to us are the ones we should fear the most. Savannah Brooks had everything: love, success, a bright future. And yet, in the end, She couldn't escape the twisted web of deceit spun by the man she thought she knew. But could this tragedy have been prevented? The warning signs were there. The subtle changes in Ethan's behavior, Savannah's growing unease, her final desperate message to a friend. Too often, we ignore red flags, convincing ourselves that love is enough to fix what is broken. But at what cost? This case also raises deeper questions. How many similar crimes go unnoticed? How many victims suffer in silence, unaware of the danger lurking within their own homes? And most chilling of all, how many Ethans are out there walking free, waiting for their next target? What do you think? Could Savannah have been saved? Was Ethan acting alone? Or was Victoria more involved than she claimed? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this case as haunting as we did, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications for more deep dive true crime stories. And if you're ready for another shocking case, click the next video, because the truth is often darker than fiction.